I have a question for Nick. How is that warrant possible? I always thought we didn't have general warrants in the U.S. Like you can just go search whatever you want.
Well, I mean, they said what they were going to go search. It was Mar-a-Lago, and they said what they were searching for. It was stuff. What
Yeah.
That's
so crazy.
Detroit.
I thought you can't do that. I thought that's...
No, it's amazing because so I have read the warrant. I've read the I was starting to read.
How did you read it though? Wasn't it redacted? Like
Wasn't everything taken out of it?
There's like 3 words in it.
I'm not talking about the affidavit.
Okay.
I started to read the affidavit and I just pulled my hair out. So it doesn't matter. So the idea is this: there are some classified documents that it might be illegal to keep if you have specific intent. And this is the most important part of criminal law is you always have to have mens rea. You have to have a criminal intent to act in some way that is adverse to the law, right? So if you're buying cocaine, right? You have an intention to buy cocaine, and that is an act adverse to the law. If you buy like baking soda and you think it's cocaine, your criminal intent is still there and you can actually get charged with attempt. But if you buy baking soda and that's what you're trying to buy and someone filled an Arm & Hammer box up with Coke and gave it to you, like, one, congrats. you just made a really good transaction. But two, like, you had no intent. You're possessing this illegal thing, but you aren't trying to. It's not in your purpose. There are all sorts of people who can possess classified documents. Whether or not Trump is possessing them with the requisite criminal intent is a huge question here. But it allows the warrant to be extremely broad because they suspect they will find evidence of criminal activity. Well, if the evidence is any classified document and the only element that they're missing is the intent, well, then, yeah, they get to write this warrant and go look for all of the potentially criminal things. But to actually charge and convict him, they would have to prove that he had the intent to possess them in a way that was adverse to law. And he didn't just incidentally possess them, or he wasn't authorized to possess them in some sort of way.
But this is about optics, right? They don't even care if they find anything.
Right, but he declassified all those. Doesn't that count? I mean, this sounds like they're trying to put on an enforcement mechanism for the National Archives.
It's tough because technically there's a declassification commission, and declassifying documents, like disclosing classified documents as a president, you can probably do because you have a whole lot of leaders.
When he's talking to foreign leaders.
You don't, right, but actually declassifying them, there is a legal process that should be followed. And so it's an argument. That's the real important thing. Because if you go and read, this is my favorite part about teaching the Constitution. I teach the Constitution to our homeschool co-op. So all these poor little kids come into my class and come out based. But Article 2, Section 1, the first sentence. So if you read Article 1, Section 1, the first sentence is, the legislative power as designed herein shall be vested in a Congress and a Senate, right? Article 2, Section 1, first sentence says, the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States. Well, what the fuck does that mean? Because Article 1 says, as defined herein, and then Article 1's like 9 pages long. Article 2 is a lot shorter and doesn't say at all what the executive power is. So we've got a king, because that's the executive power that's understood in 1791 when this is drafted. We have a king that just has a 4-year reign. And then all of his powers are limited specifically by the Constitution. But if you notice, there's not a lot of things that are limiting the executive's power. And so we have this gentleman's agreement that's been built from George Washington on in how presidents have acted. And we expect that to be like the controlling law, but it isn't controlling law. There's so many unresolved questions as to how the president himself interacts with these other branches of government, who actually has power at any given moment, when that power takes hold. Can the legislator tell the president that he can't declassify documents and instead it has to go through a commission under the executive branch? I don't know that the legislature has the power to declassify documents, so how can they tell the president what to do? These are good questions, and we don't know the answer.
There's unitary executive theory. So no matter what the president does, it's not illegal. Period. End of story. Dick Cheney can't break the law. Bush can't break the law. Obama can't break the law. Trump can't break the law. It's
So
not
what do you
possible.
do in this situation?
So in a situation where someone does something that's considered illegal, you call it something else. So whatever he did was legal, and there's a new word for it.
Right.
So do you think they can
The
indict
idea is
him,
that.
and do you think they could be able to indict him, or is this
Does
just
that apply after term?
That's what I was
He's
gonna say,
still
too.
president. He hasn't been impeached. He's still been, he's not commander in chief immediately. But
Well,
he did.
Okay.
Minor
That's why they
tweak,
call
and
Pepsi.
again, this is all argument because we don't really have this. Like we don't have a background in any of this, but that's what impeachment was for. Is like, yeah, the president. It's really hard for the president to violate the law because in theory the president could pardon himself. But what he can't do is he cannot stop himself from being impeached. So impeachment was always the answer. And then any criminal charges or even civil matters tend to have to wait till after the president's term. We saw this under Clinton, where he had some charges. I think they were civil charges.
Arkansas?
They're only
pending.
civil. They're only
Yeah.
civil. Right.
They're only civil charges pending. And so the question of can you actually indict a sitting president is still kind of open. I think the answer is probably no. But the question is, can you indict an impeached president? Yes, if they're successfully removed. Can you indict a president who peacefully left office after their term? I don't know.
I don't think you can. Nixon left office for that purpose, right? So
Nixon was pardoned by Gerald Ford.
Yeah,
and was able to continue to have his unitary executive recognized.
Well, he was because he was pardoned. I mean, so he was literally
Clear.
completely absolved of any illegality at the federal level. So, but what we need is someone to try to then figure out if we can. And will they indict Trump? I'm gonna guess November of 2024.
Yeah,
is when that indictment will be ready.
Right.
Well, maybe
Right.
October 27th.
Yeah, it's the October.
August or October. Yeah,
The perfect time.
Has this ever happened to a president other than Trump?
no.
No,
I don't know.
nothing even
Wow.
close. The closest was a
wild.
Freedom of Information Act request back in like 1860 against a president. It's nothing like this has ever haped.
Do you
And what
think
about
they'll
all the
indict him?
parties?
Like, actually?
That's what we were just talking about. Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. Pocket the indictment, keep it as a sword of Damocles, use
Yeah.
it to rally. I mean, that's what
That's
they've
the art.
done. This is what they've done with January 6th and Trump specifically. Like they go after all sorts of people on January 6th, right? But they fucking holding that card on what to do with Trump. It's like if Trump did the illegal stuff that you keep saying he did on January 6th, indict him and fucking try it. I dare you. Like you're gonna get blown out embarrassingly on that criminal conviction.
That's why they won't do it.
That's
Yeah,
why
it's
they want to do it.
easier
They want to
have
do
this-
it so
Yeah.
they leapfrog over this election part.
Yeah.
So they start it
Right.
right before the election happens. So they're
Yep.
going through all these proceedings. So then after the fact, he gets
Yep.
off. They look like retards,
It
and
affects his
it doesn't
campaign.
affect them because they already got through the election part.
I mean, they're not going to. I mean, let's say they indicted him. He's not going to lose the case. But if he did, could you imagine that? What are they going to do? Build an entire prison? Yeah,
America's
I got 22.
America's
I
done.
got 22 Secret Service guards. They got to protect me at all times. I mean, where are you going to? It's insane.
It's gonna be in general population.
Yeah,
So if you had
come
to
on.
bet, will he run in 2024? Yeah,
He's
or no?
running. Oh,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah,
guys-
he's gonna run no
Yes.
matter what.
If I had to bet, yes.